Nikki Chavanelle is the managing editor, Rivals.com, covering Arkansas athletics. Joins us on this Tuesday. Nikki, happy Put on the Pads Day. It's real football. How you doing?
I'm excited that we are out from real football, and maybe we'll actually get some reports that we can take a little bit more legitimately now that the pads are coming on.
Exactly. Now we can start to maybe believe what we're hearing, because you never quite know what to believe before the pads are on. Hey, before we get into the football stuff, we were talking last segment about today is National Kiss and Make Up Day. Some people are easier to make up with than others, and some are more obstinate than some others. Where do you fit in on easy or difficult to make up with?
I guess it depends on the situation, but if it's something where I have to apologize, it takes me a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
guess I'm exactly the same way. And if it's where both of us have to apologize, then it's like a stalemate for a little while.
Okay. So let's see. Looks like Arkansas has missed the train of any commits that have their seasons pushed to the spring. So the guys you got 9 players starting their season this Saturday. But, they've got to feel really good that at least up until right now, all of the commits for next year are playing this fall.
Yeah, Arkansas doesn't have any commits from, out west or really on the East Coast. There are going to be delays, like Devin Manuel down at Beauchene in Louisiana. They have to wait until they start Phase 3 to even begin practicing. So they won't start their season until early October. But for the most part, all these guys are going to get their season in this fall. And it looks like, for now, everything's on track. And I went out to a game on Friday night. I think Fayetteville versus Greenwood. It was just a scrimmage, but the stands looked great. Everyone was doing what they were supposed to do. So really positive stuff.
Let's see. So who's starting on Friday, I guess. Nobody's playing on Saturday. But I guess the top one that we'll be watching might be Lucas Coley, quarterback commit.
Yeah, Jermaine Hamilton-Jordan at Lincoln College Prep in Kansas City, he's actually playing Thursday night. But then, Lucas Coley and Cornerstone Christian, so they don't actually play in any district or any kind of league in Texas. They're independent, so they're playing at Cal Allen. It's a good program in Corpus Christi, and I'm sure there aren't many fans who can actually make it out there, but Cal Allen will have a live stream. Cole Carson, he's also down in Texas in one of the smaller divisions. The bigger ones are starting in a couple weeks, like DeSoto, where Jaden Wilson plays, but Cole will be playing Friday night against DeKalb at home. They won't have a live stream. They're a smaller school, so that infrastructure is typically hard to get going, but there will also be 3 games in the state, including one that I'll go to on Friday night, which is Van at Gravette. So that's Solomon Wright's team. And then Marco Avant and Jonesboro, they'll play Catholic and Little Rock. And then Wynn High School and Terry Wells, they'll play at home against Marion. So a lot of exciting stuff. I'll be, staying locked on Twitter to try to see other reporters out at those games tweeting out updates for those guys.
Speaking to Nikki Chavanelle here on Halftime. Nikki, this question comes from Jim in Fayetteville, who texted in. If you got any questions for Nikki regarding recruiting, it's 877-377-6963. Jim asks, he says, in your opinion, how does this season, not counting against NCAA years of eligibility, affect the quarterback room? Does it hurt the chances of our quarterbacks, particularly KJ Jefferson or Malik Hornsby, finishing their careers at Arkansas?
I already thought it was going to be tough, to keep all these guys. It's unusual, I think, to have a quarterback room where you keep them all 4 years and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be bad if a guy decides, I'm probably never going to play here. I should go somewhere else and get some playing time. So that's not a bad thing. But I do think that it'll change a little bit. You have it just depends on what Arkansas is going to do. Apparently, yesterday, Dorian Gerald asked him about it, and he said he hadn't even heard that the seniors were going to get an extra year, and that's something I had expected the university to maybe let them know about. So I guess they just haven't had that conversation yet. But, you're already adding 2 in this class with Lucas Coley and Landon Rogers. So if you have a guy that you can identify behind Felipe Franks this season, I say, just maybe don't even go get one in the 2022 class, because your room's going to be pretty packed, and you don't want to push out talent if you feel like they'll eventually maybe move into the starting role.
Absolutely. You mentioned on one of your most recent posts on HawgBeat.com talking about the Hogs, the coaching staff moving on and starting to recruit for the 2023 class. And as of, I believe you tweeted a couple hours ago, 17. They've offered 17 new prospects for the 2023 class. Who are some players that fans could probably keep an eye on for this 2023 class?
It's those guys. So coincidentally, I'm not gonna say that this is what they do, but 247 just happened to put out their top 100 for the 2023 class. I think at the end of last week, and I think a lot of coaches just went and looked at that list and looked at a lot of players that they might like on there. So I think almost all of those 17 kids were from that top 100 list. And they're spread out kind of all over the country. There's some offers out in Michigan, a couple in Texas, Georgia, Florida. So they're just kind of all over. I'm not too focused on that group, but I know that they do have to get a jump on it, because if they don't, it's harder for Arkansas to be like, the 15th or 20th school to come in. They need to be among, the first 10 offers to really get some attention from these kids who are already getting a lot of attention in their process as, rising sophomores.
Just last one comes from JT in Hot Springs, and it's a question that I've been wanting to ask you too, just because when you look at the 2021 class, it's full of 3-stars, which I guess you can't really put a lot of emphasis on the stars because some players pan out better if they're 3-stars or whatever it may be. But for the sake of this, we're all currently 3-stars, and JT in Hot Springs asks, are there any 4-stars that could be on the radar for 2021?
Well, they're still working on getting a 4th wide receiver commit, and they're still working hard on Keytron Jackson from Royce City down in Texas. He's a 4-star. He just dropped 11 spots in the Rivals 250, but he's still, I think, number like 183 or something. So, still very highly ranked. There's a couple linemen, but they look bound for Michigan and Oregon. So, not a lot. I hoped maybe that a couple commits could make a jump into the Rivals 250 this time around, but I think they'll need some more tape in their senior season to make a convincing case, I guess, to these analysts who have, just a ton of tape to watch at this point, because they aren't able to get around as much as they normally do during the spring. But then also, later on in the week, we'll see if maybe any of them gained a 4th star, because they're not in the top 250 doesn't mean they might not be 4-stars by the end of the week. So we'll see. I really like, AJ Green or Javion Hunt's chances, and also Raheem Sanders, who the analysts think is one of the most versatile kids in the country. So that kind of bodes well for a 4th-star, whether it comes this week or, halfway through the senior season or after the season.
A couple more minutes here with Nikki. I want to play a soundbite for you, Nikki, from Traylon Burks that I think resonates with me and probably with the fan base. And we've tried to quantify what the way that Sam Pittman has handled this pandemic, how he's handled the players, the way he communicates with people, and what that could do for this team, at least at the outset of the season. I think that the feeling that they want to play for this coach, the feeling that they trust him, that he's got their backs, and how that feels different from the previous coaching staff. Here's Traylon Burks.
It's a big difference. Coach Pittman, he cares about his players, and we every day it's not a down hard grind every day. He gives us a little time off, but I just like the fact that even the highest player, he'll get on to them, and he's gonna treat everybody the same, even a walk on or me, anybody, Rakeem, he's gonna treat everybody the same. So I just like that he's just an all-around good man, and that's what we need on our staff. So
players will pay attention to the way their head coach treats everybody, and I thought that stood out.
Yeah, there's there will always be a few players who don't feel super comfortable with the head coach, but Sam Pittman seems like the kind of guy where you can be, a third stringer and still go into his office and have a chat with him. I bet he probably knows the majority of his players' names already. All of that kind of stuff really matters. Instead of just like yelling out their name in practice or yelling out their number in practice, actually knowing their name and where they come from and all that kind of stuff really is important to them. And I hope he, got a head start on that while they were all in quarantine, maybe having, the Zoom meetings with their little name next to them and everything has helped move that process along. But yeah, you just automatically can tell how genuine he is, and the players are going to play harder because of that.
Yeah. It just, look, there is something about football coaches, and I hesitate to be so general about this, but there are a lot that have a salesman quality to them. A little bit of the used car salesman every once in a while. I think we felt like that from Chad Morris. Seen Todd Graham talk like that. There's a lot of guys that you just don't know what you can trust when they're talking to you or when they're talking to the fan base or to the media in general. I never get that sense from Sam Pittman. He is as plain spoken of a head coach that I might have ever heard, certainly here at Arkansas.
Yeah, there will be stuff he doesn't want to share, but for the most part, when you ask him a question, he'll do his best to be direct with you, and he's not trying to sugarcoat things. If something comes up with a player, I feel like it's a lot more realistic that we'll actually get a legitimate answer about, maybe what that kid needs to work on or something like that, versus, we're just getting him up to speed, like just classic coaching speak. I think the players appreciate it also when not everything is just sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. Nikki, it's good talking as always. Appreciate you. Have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
And enjoy some football games this weekend. That's right. She'll be traversing to watch as much pigskin as she possibly can. Let's see. What do we want to do after the break? Got some more sound from the Razorbacks. Also will Andrew Benintendi be traded in the next week? Got the Major League Baseball trading deadline on Monday. Boston is most definitely a seller. Anybody buying Andrew Benintendi right now? As he is 4 for 39 this season.
Players can get out of those slumps, and maybe someone needs to pick him up. He's as talented as they get, I'm sure.
Well, we'll discuss that as well after the break. 877-377-6963, the number. Get on halftime. Right back.